What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my 10 bad anxiety habits. Go ahead and smash the like button down below if you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt. Leave me a comment down there. The question of the day, what are your bad anxiety habits? Go ahead and list those down below. Somebody could relate with you, get something great out of that, knowing that they're not alone. Okay, I'll be picking 2 of you to give a shout out in my next video. I got 2 shout outs for you today, guys. Betty April, thank you so much, Betty. And Agoraphobic Girl, thank you so much for being proactive in the last video and answering that question. So guys, before we get into this, I'm not a licensed mental health professional, okay? I don't claim to be, I don't try to be. I'm a guy that went through this. I have tons of experience in dealing with all the symptoms and the various issues. I dealt with various disorders, okay? I dealt with that for 5 long years, but I did overcome that. I did recover. I'm not dealing with that anymore, okay? So I like to show you guys that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that through hard work, learning how to self-motivate, and especially strategy and patience, you can overcome this. I just want you guys to know that and to always hang on to that faith. If I did it, I know you can too. Now guys, I do offer one-on-one life coaching for anxiety. If you're interested in something like that, where we can go in depth and we can do a phone call, we can really get down to what's going on here, please leave me a comment. Actually, don't leave me a comment, email me. I got my email down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. So hit me up via email, that's down there, we'll get that started. So guys, I had a lot of bad anxiety habits. I'm gonna give you the 10 that were the most consistent, but guys, I promise you I had way more than this. But yeah, let's just jump into it. The first one, you guys know it, it's the biggest habit of anxiety sufferers, and that's Googling your symptoms, okay? I had a horrible experience with this. Heck, the very first night that I had my panic attack and all of my anxiety issues got really kicked off, I was Googling, and I know many of you can relate. The first time you really freaked out about this or developed health anxiety was when you had a weird symptom or sensation. You look it up online and all the worst kind of crap is up there at the top. First off, I'm gonna let you know the worst stuff is gonna be at the top every single time. It doesn't matter what symptom you put in, because that stuff is the most dangerous. They're trying to protect you, I guess, to make sure you don't have that, and it also sells, so it's gonna be at the top. Any symptom can pretty much be a symptom of cancer. If you have panic attack of symptoms, it's gonna point you towards heart attack or heart disease, and a lot of twitching and spasms and shakiness and tremors. All of that's gonna point you towards a neurological disease. So you're gonna find that pretty much anytime you Google these symptoms. So it just became too much for me, actually, to where I was spending actually hours a day doing this. I would go in Googling one disease, and by the time I was done, I was suspicious of 4 to 5 diseases. The reason that Googling doesn't work is because we never get any concrete answers. Instead, we're just always wondering, what if? Maybe I have this horrible disease, but maybe I have this one too. I never felt better after Googling, not once. So eventually, towards the beginning of my recovery, that was a decision that I had to make, that I was capable of making, and you are too, to just not get on my phone or the computer and look up these symptoms whenever I got them. I'd been told by the doctors that I was okay, and I needed to start trusting them. And if I was gonna have some outrageously crazy symptoms after a little bit, I'm gonna go get it checked out. But I'm not gonna sit here and worry about all these horrible diseases and various cancers and just self-diagnose myself. Magically, 25 to 30% of my anxiety just kind of went away with that. There was less panic attacks. There was less, obsessive thoughts about these diseases. It just helped out a lot. I was sabotaging myself. So once I got rid of that, things did get better as far as my health anxiety goes. The next one is self-examining. Pretty much every morning, every night, multiple times throughout the day, I would look over my body. I would make sure that I didn't have any lumps, any rashes. I feared those things. I was always nervous about cancer. I remember I went through this scare with my lymph nodes for about a year and a half under my neck. Had some ear issues, which anxiety can aggravate that as well. But I would literally just always be messing around with my lymph nodes, making them swell. They would get worse, by the way. If you're dealing with that, don't just sit there and screw around with your lymph nodes. They will actually swell from you doing that, and then you're gonna actually start freaking out and thinking that you have some horrible issue with that. But I would do that. I'd look over my body, just looking for any type of bump or pimple. I was obsessed with trying to find something wrong with me. Stop doing this. If you've been to the doctor, which you always need to go get that initial reassurance, and keyword initial, do not sit there and self-examine all throughout the day, okay? This is something that's holding you back. Now, I'm not telling you to be an idiot. Obviously, every month or so, it's not bad to look at your body and to see what's going on. But this multiple times a day, guys, how is that healthy? Things are not changing that quickly. The next one, guys, is checking your heart rate. And I'm not talking about every once in a while, multiple times a day. See, I feared heart problems, so I would check my heart rate all throughout the day. It would be up under here. I would be checking my wrist. I could just feel it in my chest. I got so good at that. Basically, I didn't even have to put my fingers anywhere. I was just really good at calculating it. I remember always doing constant math in my head, like to see how fast it was going. This became a really bad issue for me. My resting heart rate, not talking about sleeping, but my resting heart rate was anywhere from like 95 to 115. That is to be kind of normal with anxiety. That's to be expected. Whenever I had panic attacks, it would get to 160 to 180. So I was constantly worried about my fast heart rate, just hands down. So if you're checking your heart rate throughout the day and you've been told that you're fine by your doctor and that it is anxiety, just put your finger down, okay? Take your hand off your wrist and stop trying to calculate these numbers. All you're gonna do is just continue to drive it up and drive it up. And that's what would happen. When I would really concentrate on my heartbeat, it'd start getting faster and faster and faster almost every single time. Brings me to the next one. Number 4 is checking blood pressure constantly. I would check my blood pressure as much as I could. Now, luckily, I didn't have a blood pressure machine. I know some of you out there with a blood pressure machine, you're doing this like 50 plus times a day, expecting to get some accurate readings. By the way, the best time to check your heart rate and blood pressure anyways is early in the morning, right before you go, before you get up, okay? Early in the morning, just waking up fresh. That's the best time you're gonna get the best readings. But anxiety is gonna make your heart rate higher. It's gonna make your blood pressure higher. My resting blood pressure, normally, and again, not sleeping, was like anywhere from like 130 to 140 over 90. Whenever I would have horrible panic attacks, of course, it was much, much higher into like the 160 to 180 over 100, 105, 110 range. Terrible numbers, but I didn't have a heart problem. I just had horrible blood pressure because of my panic attacks and my high anxiety. So that is to be expected. So if you are dealing with that, stop constantly checking. I would drive myself to Walmart and Walgreens to use their blood pressure machine multiple times a day just to check, worrying that I was going to get horrible numbers. By the way, I had white coat syndrome, which means whenever I went to the doctor, my heart rate and my blood pressure would always be much, much higher than they really were. And the same thing whenever I would go and check my blood pressure multiple times a day. The next one, guys, is rubbing the center of my chest. Again, I would have chest pains, I would have shortness of breath, tightness, so I'd always be rubbing here. I don't know what it was, maybe it was like a comfort thing, but you'll even find that these little comfort things like this, like even those hold you back, okay? So eventually I just had to put my hand down and just stop doing that. There was always like a permanent, there was always a red mark right here in the center of my chest from me rubbing. And I'm talking about I'd use the tips of my fingers and just press in, rub, rub, rub. I don't know why. I know I worried about heart problems and chest issues all the time, but that was just one of my go-to little tics. The next one is tongue, lip, and cheek biting. Don't judge me on this, but I've always been a cheek biter, lip biter, tongue biter since I was a kid. It was a habit that I did develop. It was kind of a comfort thing, a way of dealing with stress at the time or trauma, but it carried over into my adult life, and you better believe whenever I had anxiety and panic attacks, that was my thing. So I'd bite on the tip of my tongue, I would bite on my cheeks like this, and at night I would do this a bunch. Lips, the inside of my lip I would do that, I'd bite. And guys, it'll get so bad to where you have sores and ulcers in your mouth from that. Whenever I was a kid, I actually got infections in my mouth a few times from that. I know it sounds crazy, but it was that much of a habit. It's pretty nuts. The next one is job hopping. Anytime I was hit with a little bit of adversity and when things got a little tough, I'd quit. Now, I was going through a miserable time. It was hard for me to get to work, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that, that I have too many excuses. It was tough. It was tough for me. It was really hard for me to get to work. It was hard for me to focus at the job and the task on hand. And I would job hop a lot, but let's be real, it's not a good habit. You can't just run away from all of these things your entire life. You can't just not work. So trying to hang in there while recovering from your anxiety. Obviously, guys, I want you to recover from anxiety. If you're not doing anything proactive, it will be hard to work. But if you're being proactive, I don't want you to stop living your life and doing the things that you need to do to get better, okay? And if one of those is providing for yourself and your family, those are things we got to do. Okay, so job hopping was a bad thing for me. Lost some really amazing jobs during that process, guys. Some really amazing freaking jobs. I could do a whole video just on that. I may do that. All the jobs I had, or 10 jobs I lost during my anxiety. The next one, guys, is a really bad one. That was drinking. Some of you, if you just have a drink or two, you'll get anxiety. For me, it was the opposite. I would drink like tons every single day just to make my symptoms go away and numb my pain. And it did work. Honestly, it was that quick fix that I wanted, but it didn't fix me long term. The next day was miserable, anxiety hangovers, all the horrible symptoms of being dehydrated. My panic attacks would come back tenfold, and it was this vicious cycle. So what do you think I did again? I drank again. All right, I would drink again to numb the pain. Developed an addiction. Eventually, that was a whole nother thing, and I had to stop doing that. Otherwise, I wasn't going to recover. So do not self-medicate. And that goes for drugs as well. Of course, you could, alcohol is a drug, but other drugs that I didn't mention. The next one, guys, is looking for constant reassurance. Okay, this can come in many different forms. I would always sneak my symptoms into conversations with friends. I would call my mom probably every single day. She's a nurse, so, I kind of bugged her a lot probably. She was really the only person that would be there for me and hear me out, so thank you, Mom, for being patient with me. But I called you way too much. Always needed constant reassurance. Going to the doctors over and over and over. Whenever I've been told that I'm fine and that it's anxiety, I needed too much reassurance. There is a such thing as too much reassurance. You're gonna have to be able to reassure yourself, all right? You're gonna have to be there for yourself. You can't always rely on somebody else to tell you, look, you're okay. I mean, when is it gonna be enough for you? When is that gonna be enough? Most of the time, it doesn't end up being enough. So you have to learn how to be there for yourself. That's an important part of recovery, And the last but not least, blowing money for instant pleasure. So obviously alcohol was one of the things that I bought, and I probably spent $20 a day on alcohol easily. So that's $600 a month right there. I was smoking cigarettes, especially the beginning of my anxiety. That's another $6 right there. So we're up to $26 a day just on those habits. Fast food was pretty regular, and binge eating, so I would always get horrible foods, especially if I was drinking. I wanted that instant pleasure. I bought a lot of clothes back then. Something that's different about me, guys, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you see me wear probably like 10 to 15 different shirts. I mean, I wear this hat all the freaking time. I'm not a minimalist or anything like that, but I really don't care about like having super nice clothes all the time. Back in the day, whenever I was dealing with my anxiety, I felt like crap, so I felt like I had to make myself look good. So I was always getting the latest Jordans, the latest, I loved Air Force Ones. I loved Air Max shoes, so I was always buying shoes all the time. That's 100 to 150, 160 bucks a pop. And I worked at a sporting goods store, so I would spend a lot on that and splurge on that. Shirts though, and shorts and jeans and all that crap, and hats. I had this snapback collection. Every time I saw a new hat, a snapback, I would buy it. So it was during the snapback phase where that was hot. So yeah, I had like probably 30, 40 hats that I just kept at all times, and then if I did get bored with it, I'd sell it and just buy another one. So I had a money spending problem. See, I was trying to get some instant relief. Because anxiety was a long-term thing for me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have this like forever. So I just wanted to give myself pleasure in the moment. I didn't save any money. The job hopping didn't help either. So I had to always have a job, even though I job hopped, to, give me what I needed. All right. So those are 10 of my bad anxiety habits. Like I said, there's many more than that, but these videos, especially this one in particular, is to relate with you. But to show you that these things will hold you back as well. So try to move forward from those. I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. It was actually pretty different than my usual videos. So this is a little different, but I enjoyed it. These videos will keep coming, guys. I want you to look in the description down below. There are many different resources. My email for one-on-one coaching, again, it's there. I'm gonna mention it every video. Some of you are gonna be hesitant on that right now, but later on down the road, you might want to do something like that. So that's always going to be there and in the first pinned comment. Online therapy, you need to be seeing a professional as well, guys. I'm not a professional. I bring a lot of experience and strategy, and I think I could be of great help, but I can't diagnose you and I can't recommend medications or anything like that. So be sure to see a professional. Online therapy link is down below. You can do it on the phone, the PC, the laptop. It's convenient. You don't have to go anywhere, and I know some of you are limited with your options. So that's there. Remember, guys, to subscribe, all right? Smash the like button. Also, leave a comment. The question of the day, what are your bad anxiety habits? I'll pick 2 people for a shout out, guys. I love you all, and until next time, keep fighting.